you are strong. Remember, every single counts. Hello, my friends. Welcome to On Point with Rachel Turgeman. I'm so glad you can join us tonight. My friends, the office of the Miami-Dade County State Attorney is the largest in the state of Florida and the fourth largest in our nation. The mission of the Miami-Dade County State Attorney's Office is to protect all of us and defend our Constitution. How this office operates is paramount in keeping us protected. That is why I have taken the liberty tonight to invite the head of this office, the Honorable Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, who's the Miami-Dade County State Attorney, so that she can share with all of you all the programs and initiatives that she has initiated to curtail crime. Kathy, how are you today?
Raquel, it's so good to be here with you on your show. Your show's amazing. Thank you so much for including me in it. And everybody knows about the great work that you're doing through this program. You're such a good messenger, and your messages are so important. So I'm just really proud and happy to be part of this.
Oh, thank you so much. That's why the world loves you. And we're very happy that you're our Miami-Dade County State Attorney. And I want to take this opportunity, Kathy, to congratulate you, because since 1993, okay, you have been reelected 6 times. You are on your 7th time. You're doing a fantastic job, superlative. You are beyond remarkable. So for the purpose of this particular conversation that we're having tonight, I would like to get into some, and listen to what I'm saying, only some programs that you have implemented, because if I want to say all the programs, it's going to take us years to talk about all your accomplishments. So we're going to talk about some, and also I would like our viewers to get to know you a little bit better. So here we go. Talk to us about where you were born, Kathy.
So first of all, I want to say thank you, Raquel, because those are very generous words, very kind words. So I'm a very lucky young woman in that my father came from Cuba and came to Miami and went to the University of Miami and met my mother there. And so from there, he had his law degree with La Universidad de Havana. So he had to go and do some other courses and get some other degrees so that he could practice in this country. So he ended up going to Washington, D.C., where he could work as a translator during the day and then study at night for his law degree. So I was actually born like in a small little garage garage apartment somewhere in D.C. And that was a wonderful opportunity. Then my father and my mother, of course, moved back to Miami. And that has been really just, I've been so blessed because my mother was a school teacher later in life. She raised 4 children. And so when her children were grown, I was the oldest of the 4. She decided she wanted to go and teach. So she did. She taught gifted in the gifted program and in the learning disabled program. So she had that special, yeah. And then my father was a lawyer. And so I had 2 parents who were very happy in their work. They found rewards in their work. So that's why my undergraduate degree is in education. And my postgraduate work was in the law.
Amazing. Getting back to your dad, I heard that he was amazing. I'm so sorry I never got a chance to meet him. He was a judge here in Miami-Dade County. He also was a founder of the Cuban American Bar Group Association. And of course, you were also appointed as president back in 1993. How much of your upbringing would you say, Catherine, that he inspired you to study law?
I'd say completely.
Really?
Because I mean, both of my parents had a tremendous impact, a profound impact on me as a young person, but also in the area of public service. They both loved doing public service. In the law, my father used to take me as a little girl to the courthouse. I would go to his bufete, which is a law office, and I would watch him help a lot of people, especially when all the exile community came from Cuba to Miami. He spoke English and Spanish. He had a law degree. So he was able to really help the exile community that was his community and his family from Cuba. So I got to watch all that. And that had a profound impact on me, to watch people come and look for a lawyer who could solve their problems, who could help their families, who could make corporations so they could get back to work, who could help with name changes, who understood how to navigate the legal system. The other thing that was interesting about my father was he had a very heavy accent. And in those days, if you had a heavy accent, you really didn't go into mainstream courtrooms, and there was a lot of misunderstanding, we'll say, about what was like to be a Hispanic in those days. I know it's hard to believe today because we are a majority in some respects, but then that was not the case. So that's one reason he and his friends said, we need to have a voice. And the best way to do that is to see if we don't work with each other, solidify our efforts. And that's kind of how CABA was born, the Cuban American Bar Association.
Yes.
In fact, I remember, if anybody's watching this, they remember in Centro Vasco, which was a restaurant on.
I remember that restaurant.
You remember that?
Yes.
Well, my father's buffet was adjacent to it, so we'd always walk in the kitchen and grab stuff out of Juanito's cooking pots. But that's where CABA was really seated. That was its origin, was in that restaurant. And it was a great comfort to them, to each other, to have a brotherhood, a sisterhood, where lawyers who had accents, who came from different backgrounds, Hispanic backgrounds with different law degrees, could really support each other. And of course, today, CABA is probably one of the most preeminent voluntary bar associations in our community and perhaps in our state. And then many years later, I was able to run. I was the first woman president of CABA. Unfortunately, he didn't see that, but he was with me. He was definitely with me. And his friends.
Spirit is always going to be with you, without a doubt. Talking about your dad and your education, where did you study? Where did you earn your degrees?
Well, I ended up going to the University of Cambridge in England. I did a postgraduate degree in criminology, and hence my real passion for the criminal law. And then I got my law degree there as well. And this you might find interesting, Raquel, because I was a daddy's girl, so to speak. So
I love that.
I came home after I graduated. My father said, "Okay, what now?" And I said, "No, I'm going to go back to Europe. I want to go to The Hague, and I want to fight and advocate against human rights violations." And he really didn't want me to go back over there.
He said, "What?"
That was one word he used, amongst many others.
And I'm sure.
He asked me to please, while you're here for the summer, but why don't you go to the state attorney's office and work there? And I really wasn't sure that's what I wanted to do. I said, I'm not really interested in prosecution. And he said, well, it's good. It's a good experience. You'll love it there. Just try it. So I went to the state attorney's office that summer, and I fell in love with the office. I fell in love with its mission. I fell in love with the potential of being able to advocate for victims, all kinds of victims. And that's where I really found a purpose and a home. And I realized, Raquel, I didn't need to travel thousands of miles across the world to go fight human rights violations when there were so many right here in my backyard, in my community. And so that's the beginning, really, of my career at the state attorney's office. And it's been a wonderful journey. I've met so many people, but it's also been such an inspiration that you get from the victims. When you can solve, or at least bring some sense of justice to a victim who's been raped, or they've lost a loved one to a homicide, or they've been beaten, or their child's been abused, or their child's been violated or kidnapped, or there's been a home invasion robbery and they come into your home and put you at gunpoint, your life is forever altered. You're really never the same. That trauma lives for a long time.
Absolutely.
But you listen to them and the strength and courage that it takes for them to call the police, to proceed with criminal cases, to go to court,
it's very
to
taxing.
be deposed.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this, Kathy. August 18, you're up for re-election. Who can vote on August 18 for the Miami-Dade County State Attorney seat?
I'm so glad you asked that question because it's a little historic, this one. It'll be the first time since 2004 where everyone can vote. Everyone can have a voice in who they want to be their state attorney, who they want to continue to be the executive CEO of this beautiful, large office that you described at the onset of this program. And that means that it's an open primary, and which means all Republicans, all independents, and all Democrats can have a voice. They can vote. This will be it, though. August 18th is the deadline. It will be decided. There is no general election past the 18th of August. So it's very, very important that your audience and understand and appreciate how important their vote is. Voting is such a privilege that so many have suffered for and sacrificed for to make sure come to this country, to have that right, to have a free democracy, to be able to vote. So you can vote by mail. That is already ongoing next week. The early voting will start. It's like 23 open precincts that'll be open. And then, of course, on the 18th of August is the election day. And I'm really hopeful that the wonderful people in this community will appreciate the work that we have done. And it's not just me. I know you know this, Raquel. You know so many in our office. There are so many dedicated men and women who really devote their lives working for this community. So whatever achievements and accomplishments that I get to talk about, it's really their work. It's my team's work. I call them the best team in America.
Well, you built it, and you are making an indelible difference for all of us. And Miami-Dade County owes you a lot, Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, because you have done so many different changes. You are a reform champion. That's what you are. You're a reform champion. You've made so many differences.
Opportunity. It's a privilege, really.
Absolutely. Let's move over to briefly on your platform, your re-election platform. Maybe you want to cover a couple of things, and then we'll move over to the programs that you've established.
Well, I think a couple of things that are very important. So our mission really is to advocate for victims, as we talked about. It is to continue to be innovative. We're one of the most innovative prosecutors' offices in the country, and I'm part of something called the Institute for Innovative Prosecution at the John Jay College, which is the preeminent university, really, on criminal law. And it's also to make sure our mission that justice is equal, that there are just outcomes, and those that are going through the judicial system are treated fairly and equal in the eyes of the law. Sometimes it's our decisions may not be quietly clear in the eyes of the public because we have to rely on the law and on the evidence, not how we feel, not how we feel about something or what somebody did that maybe wasn't right or it didn't feel right. That's not what our obligation is under the law. Our obligation under the law is to apply the law with the evidence and be able to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. So we're very innovative in that respect. And one other thing I just want to share with you, our platform really is very involved in the concept of smart justice. And we've been asked by so many different groups around the country to come and talk about what they call smart justice Miami style.
And I love it.
Let me tell you, yeah, it's great. I mean, we were speaking out on this in Canada just last year. And essentially what we've been able to do is reduce crime in our community by 70%, the lowest rate that it has been in 30 years for our Miami-Dade Community College.
Beautiful. Congratulations to you and your team. Congratulations.
Yes, I'm so proud of them. And so, but we've also been able to do that by creating pathways, Raquel. So in other words, not everything is a pipeline to jail or prison. There are so many alternative pathways that we have created to address underlying problems where someone's not really a danger to society. They're not going to really hurt somebody. They're not a risk. They're not a murderer, a rapist, a child predator. That's different. Those folks prisons and jails are designed to keep them away from other people, to not hurt them. But the overwhelming majority of folks, they got underlying issues. Sometimes you're talking about addiction issues. Sometimes you're talking about mental health related issues.
You created a court. Didn't you recently create something? I don't mean to interrupt you, but mental illness or some kind of court to deal with mental issues so that you don't have to incarcerate them. You're giving them services. Is that right?
That's exactly right. That's one of the alternative pathways.
I love it.
Through what we call therapeutic courts, just like you just described, therapeutic courts, where people are on a path to get healthy, where they get treatment and services and medication, if that happens to be what they needed, and get them into something constructive. Because that's what we all want. We want people not to return to crime. We want them to return to becoming a contributing member of our community. And honestly, a lot of them, that's what they want too. They just don't know how to access those services. So we've been very successful at that. And that's sort of, I'll give you an example. The drug court, Raquel, started here in Miami a couple of decades ago. And at the time, it was the first in the United States. There are now, I believe, over 4,000 drug courts based on the model that we created here.
But I'm not surprised, Catherine, because everybody knows that everything you create here, the rest of the world copies you. So congratulations on being a national model for the world.
No, that's kind of you to say.
Let's take a few seconds. I want to say thanks to all our advertisers, and then we'll return back to you. So again, I want to give special thanks to our advertisers. Without you guys, this show would not be possible. All of you providing outstanding services for Miami-Dade County and beyond. The Jose Milton Foundation, of course, Commissioner Daniela Levine, who's running for mayor, and of course, Catherine Fernandez-Rondo, our amazing state attorney. We love you. We have, of course, our attorney, Mike Miraval, who's running for Miami-Dade County, judge, actually. And we have Jackson Health Foundation, the best in the nation. We have our attorney, Nicole Alvarez, excellent attorney as well. Sapoznik Insurance, Survivors Pathway, and the list goes on. We have Gerardo de Broward, Hispanic Women Distinction, United Home Care, Catholic Hospice, and of course, VIP Sales, Anthony D'Amato, Toyota of North Miami. Thank you to all our advertisers. God bless you. Kathy, I want to go into different areas that are very, very important to Miami-Dade County. Domestic violence. Share with all of our viewers right now, what have you done? I know personally, because I work very closely with you for over 20-something years, but what have you done with domestic violence for all the victims out there that are hearing?
So one of the things I always say, Raquel, when people would ask me when I, for years ago, right, is how do we stop violence in the street? And I would always say you have to start with stopping violence in the home. So years ago, when I set out on this mission to create an infrastructure, to create a specialization in the victimology of domestic violence, understanding its trauma, understanding how children are really the direct and indirect victims of family violence, that began the whole where we are today. Now we have specialized lawyers, we have specialized units, both at the felony and the misdemeanor level. We have specialized courts. We have specialized services. We now just expanded. When I say we, I'm talking about all of us working together.
Of course.
And you know this so well, Raquel, because you've always been one of our partners. And you watched this, and we could not do it without our collaborators. And I know I'm taking just a little sidestep here. But
take your time, because I want all our viewers to get to know you more so. You've done such an amazing job. They have to know how you've made Miami-Dade County a better place for all of us to live, learn, play, raise our families.
Thank you. It's one of the things I love about this community is our ability to collaborate. We really are such a collaborative community. So when we set our sights, we have a mission that there's an issue that we need to solve. We all come together and we work together. And we will build a safety net of services and infrastructure of whether.
But I gotta say this, Kathy, you are it. You are our leader, okay? And yes, we all come together, but we know that you're going to be right there in the middle of all of us, and you are steering us in this direction, that direction. I mean, you are a leader. Nobody can question that. and an effective
Thank
leader
you.
too.
You're
So
kind,
domestic
Raquel,
violence,
really.
I want to thank you on behalf of all the victims out there in domestic violence. Thank you for creating this system of more accessibility so that when they are victimized, if you will, by the perpetrator of violence, they know they can call your office. They know they talk to your advocates. They know that they can work with all your collaborators. Let's move on to human trafficking. It is no secret for those of us that have had the honor, the pleasure, and the dignity to be able to work with you that around 7 or 10 years ago, we really didn't know much about human trafficking. But thanks to you, Catherine Fernandez Rundle, thanks to you as being our Miami-Dade County State Attorney, your vision, your tenacity, your commitment, Catherine, to make a difference in human trafficking, we're in a much better place than a lot of other people in the countries across the United States and in other countries. Talk to us about that.
Well, thank you very much. And you've been a great partner in this journey as well. So you're absolutely right. About 7 years ago, maybe it's 8 years now, it's called Polaris. It's a national database, identified Florida as number 2 and number 3 in the United States in the number of victims of human trafficking. And of course, Miami, as great as we are, unfortunately, we're number 1 in a lot of things, but we're also number 1 in the number of victims. And it was at that point, Raquel, you may have heard me tell the story, that when I called my team together, said, we have all these victims, where are all these cases? And we didn't have the cases that we should have had. That began at that moment. We took off those glasses, put on new glasses. We said, okay, if we're not looking for human trafficking, we're not going to find human trafficking. And it was at that point in time that we realized human trafficking, at least for me, wasn't what I thought it was. I thought when I heard human trafficking 7 or 8 years ago, I conjured up this image of children being kidnapped and put in cargo container ships from the Philippines up through Central and South America and coming here. And there's a portion of that, but that's not really who our victims are. Our victims of human trafficking are boys and girls, mostly girls, that are in our schools, they're in our parks, they're in our foster care system. And so we developed as a community, we started the Policy Institute on Human Trafficking, which you became a part of. We changed the laws, working with our legislators. We did not have a shelter. I know you know this, Raquel. There was no shelter.
Oh, yes.
For someone.
Camilla's house, thanks to you. Thanks to you, Catherine. I remember you got the Camilla's house going and all the victims are able to go there. I mean, what you have done for Miami-Dade County is unbelievable. God bless you, Catherine.
Thank you. We did it together as a community. Thank God to Camilla's house, right? That I went in front of the board.
Yeah, but you went to Tallahassee. Don't be so humble. You went to Tallahassee and you were there lobbying to get the funds to build that at Camilla's house.
Yes, that's very true. I was very lucky. Thank you for reminding me. We went to Tallahassee. We lobbied them and we were able to get the initial, I think, $600,000 that was needed to get the shelter open and running. It's called the Project Phoenix. Yes. And of course, Renee Garcia and Carlos Trujillo at the time were very, very helpful in helping us get that done. And that Project Phoenix remains today. So that's really, it's a really good thing. The other thing we did, Raquel, is we opened up our Human Trafficking Center. I hope you've been there. What about, 15 months ago?
It's like a one-stop approach center for all our victims, for the prosecutors, for the advocates. How did you come up with that idea, by the way?
Well, it just kind of naturally flowed because you had a place, you had all these specialized lawyers. By the way, we changed the way we do prosecution. We don't do traditional prosecution on these cases because unfortunately, you can't rely on these victims, meaning that sometimes we don't want to re-traumatize them. And sometimes they run on us or they leave town for a whole bunch of different reasons. Some of them are brought here from their hometowns and they want to go home. They want to see their families. So, we decided we were going to have to change the way we do prosecution. And so getting all the specialized lawyers with the specialized counselors, this is a very interesting victimology. You and I talked about this.
Yes.
The symptomology is somewhat similar to those of domestic violence, that family violence, that control, that manipulation, that emotional dependency that the abuser likes to create with the victim.
Mhm.
But it just came to be that everything came together. The county commission helped me pull that together. I have a lot of support with the county commissioners, and I'll always thank them for supporting us.
Everybody supports you, Catherine. Why wouldn't they? You've done amazing stuff for us. Amazing.
Well, thank you. I wish that were true, but
It is
you know,
true. I want to move on because I know I don't want to spend too much on human trafficking. Like I said, we're only going to cover a few because if not, we'll be here forever. Moving on to child support. A lot of the financial assistance that our kids should rightfully get, they're not getting it. But thanks to you again, and thanks to your team and what you've implemented, a lot of our children are receiving the financial assistance that is legally right to go to them. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what that team does over there in child support. So a lot of people think of us just being in criminal law and fighting crime. Well, we are, but we also think that helping our children is part of crime prevention. So I think I'm the only state attorney, I'm pretty sure I'm the only state attorney in Florida that has a separate division called the Child Support Enforcement Division. 400 support staff, 80,000 cases. And just to give you an example, Raquel, last year, that team over there was able to get $182 million worth of judgments on the children in our community.
Amazing.
And in just the last 7 years, they've collected over $1 billion in child support enforcement.
Oh my God. Do you know what that means, Catherine? From a family perspective, how many parents you've helped, how many children you have helped that perhaps will not even have any food on their table because it's very difficult nowadays to make serious money. And now you're finding these people that are not giving money, child support to the children that they're supposed to give. I mean, oh my God, this is amazing. God bless you.
It's been wonderful to listen to the moms and some of the children that later grow up and they reach out and they say, thank you for helping my family with this. And, you know, it's really just because we really believe, right? The children have the right to have everything that they possibly can to compete in this very complex world. And so we're very proud of what the Child Support Enforcement Division does.
Now I'd like to take you to hate crimes. We all know that hate crimes are inhumane, totally unacceptable, and an abomination to society. Where do you stand with the hate crimes?
Well, several years ago, and I couldn't agree more with your characterization, that it is intolerant. And it is such a sad thing to watch what human beings can do to other human beings.
Absolutely.
So we started something called a hate crimes unit. And that hate crimes unit is made up of about 10 lawyers, and both the chief and the deputy chief of that unit have done a remarkable job. And they do this in addition to handling homicide cases. One of them was on police shooting duty just this weekend and called me about it. But they take on these cases. A lot of them involve anti-Semitic aggressive behaviors. Some of it involves what they do against trans people are just so sad. They become a real target. They're really, we've seen an increase in that lately. We've had a couple, as you know, we had a couple of 2 men that were brutally, really attacked during Gay Pride Week. I guess the parade was on, and they were in the park. These are the kinds of cases we will not tolerate. These are the kinds of cases that we advocate for. And we've been doing this for several years now. One of the challenges we have, especially for the transgender community, is gender identification. So right now, gender identification is something that we've been advocating in Tallahassee to have that included legislatively, part of the law, make it part of hate crimes. So we were not successful the last couple of years, but we're going to continue to advocate for that. One last thing in that area, Raquel, I don't know if you know this, we partnered with FIU, with Professor Basicki, who got I believe it's the Arnold Foundation grant, so that we could then they are doing an incredible study that involves Hispanic gays and why they don't seem to be as comfortable coming forward and reporting the crime a lot of the victims of hate crimes suffer in silence. And that's just unacceptable.
Definitely.
So hopefully this research will teach us how do we better access those victims so those victims can come forward, and then we can go to court and advocate for them and bring them some justice.
Well, with you at the helm, we will continue to do this. I also want to turn and compliment you again. I know that you were at the forefront for felons to be able to vote again. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, and well, first of all, I've always believed in second chances.
Yes.
Which is why I have a
But your
chance.
actions show it, Catherine.
Yes, and thank you. And you know what? The rewards are watching people take advantage of that, you know, and seizing that opportunity and making something for themselves. And they deserve to have, all of us deserve a second chance. Absolutely. So we started something about around 2011, at least, I think it's that far back, called Second Chance Program. And it was for felons who were qualified to seal and expunge their criminal record, so they wouldn't have all those collateral consequences of a criminal record. You know, can't get a job, can't get financial aid, can't rent an apartment, can't get into the military. There are all those collateral consequences. So from that really led, it was a natural progression when the FRRC, the Florida Restoration of Civil Rights Coalition.
That's a mouthful.
I know, thank you. I know them so well. I just have to think about what their full name was. I know them by their acronym, of course. Everybody knows who they are. They do an amazing job. Desmond Meade is an incredible leader. And when they wanted to get on the ballot the right for ex-felons who paid their debt to society, and it's not all of them, it doesn't include murderers and sexual offenders, but many others who paid their debt to society, they want to get on with their lives, and voting is such a huge part of that. So through the grand jury report, we actually studied this around the country, and there were only 4 states in all of the United States that were holding back this population from voting. And so we supported it be on the ballot. I wrote an editorial with some of my colleagues that hopefully people would vote for it. It went on the ballot. All the good work of the FRCC.
Oh, everybody's talking about it, Catherine. I mean, that is a very good thing that you did.
Well, I just supported them. Then, you know, it was the FRC and the ACLU and so many folks. And ultimately, the voters, by almost 65% of all parties, voted in favor to amend the Constitution to allow them the opportunity to do that. So
congratulations.
With that, we were able to then develop something people might call a rocket docket. So we can get those cases, pull them up, you know, get them done, get them into court, and try to get everything slated so that they can feel free to register to vote. And then one of my favorite days was in November, standing in court, watching them line up to get their orders that said they were clear to go register to vote. And John Legend actually came.
I saw that. Wow.
That day, and then to watch the folks come up to the, you know, if you've ever been in a courtroom, it can be, you know, it can be pretty overwhelming, right? It's powerful to be in a courtroom.
But that was a remarkable moment, Catherine. Remarkable.
It really was. It was a glorious day, and we watched some of them just cry with joy, tears of joy.
Thank you. Thank you for going out of your way to, you know, making sure that they can vote. I want to move on and again compliment you. I know that you have a partnership going on with a Dear Institute system that's worldwide known, Jackson Health System. They were here last week. We did an amazing show with them as well. You created this partnership whereby the people, our juveniles, our youth that are found with guns, you take them to the Ryder Trauma Center, right?
That's right.
And they're looking at the people that have been wounded by guns. What are you trying to do with this program?
Yes, the GATE program. Yeah, that was really so. You know, so many of the victims of gun violence are young children and a youth, and a lot of the shooters are young people. So we wanted to, if someone was caught with a gun, maybe it was, you know, without having committed a murder or anything, that's a completely different pathway. But we wanted the youth to know that what guns really do. They're not a toy. They destroy lives. They don't only kill, but they also maim. And so we did this great partnership with Jackson Memorial Hospital, and the whole concept, and it's seen so many young people have gone through it. And it's right there on site. And the idea was, we don't see about those that are quadriplegics or
Right.
paraplegics who have had spinal cord injury due
Oh.
to gun violence. And so the whole concept was to let these young people feel the sadness, to create empathy and understanding for how awful gun violence can be to the victims and also to their families.
Yes.
There are some families that are forever traumatized by gun violence, who live in gun violence. And so it was just a natural thing. And the interesting thing is that thankfully it was a head nurse, Dr. Mimi Sutherland, who helped me put that together. She's since retired, but she did an amazing job. She mentored these young folks, and it really has been very successful.
And I love it because, let these kids see that you don't want to hurt anybody. So again, compliments to you. Right. I want to also piggyback on your START program.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this program is for the youth and they're learning how to stay away from the path of danger. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
We're trying, we go into the schools and we do a lot of role playing, because really we want to reach the children before they reach us in the criminal justice system.
Exactly.
Right?
And
all
parents
about-
love you for that. They love you. And the kids also, when they grow up, they're going to love you too. Because if it wasn't because of all your intervention, Catherine, and your team, they will be locked up in the jail system.
Well, we don't want that. None of us
No,
want that.
and that's why all your creative, innovative programs are stopping them from being incarcerated, because you're right there to intervene. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, it's great. Listen, I'm just going to ask you to take over because you're so good at this.
But it's the truth.
Oh, you're so good. You're very kind. Thank you for coming. Well, the concept is just that it's to interrupt that potential pipeline, some people call it, or that pathway to criminality. And so we know that if we can go into the schools, and we go into the schools a lot, whether it's on the issue of bullying is a big deal, right? To prevent suicide, to have children understand when you're being bullied, what to do, and teach others bullying is unacceptable. We've been doing that a lot with the superintendent. He also allows us to do the START program. And the START concept is to do some role playing with the children. Okay, something happens. What do? You have to stop, think, before you act and react, right? Because children, they really don't have, what we know now about neuroscience is the brain is not fully developed until the age of 24 and 25.
Mm-hmm.
So children, they don't have this ability to control their impulses. And that's the last part, the frontal lobe of the brain. That's the last part that actually develops. So I'm often reminded of sometimes when a child does something wrong and we shake them and go, what were you thinking?
Exactly.
Well, thinking, because they don't have the ability to do that. They're not fully developed brains to think like we are. So one of our concepts there is to sort of try to program them in a good way, to have them think another way of reacting to a situation other than.
And I love it. I love it, Catherine, as a parent. Again, I mean, there aren't enough words in the dictionary to compliment you and how creative you have been to save our children, because it comes down to saving our children. Let's talk about our youth and you giving out citations instead of incarcerating them.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, in 2007, we had a zero tolerance in our schools. And at that time, they were arresting a lot of children for what I would refer to as kind of junky crimes. Mm-hmm. And so speaking with the schools and speaking with the teachers and the police, I said, what is it that why are we making these arrests? Let's try something different. So they told me all I need is something. The other parent wants me to do something. The principal wants me to do. So that is how I came up with the concept of the civil citation. So in 2007, we created the civil citation, not for serious offenders. These are for nonviolent offenders. And it's amazing. The concept was to cite a child, identify the behavior, deal with the behavior, instead of arresting them. So since 2007, there have been 21,000 youth who have been cited as opposed to being arrested and brought into the criminal justice system. And I think it's made a big difference. Youth crime is down.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if we didn't have to criminalize their behavior, that's you know, mazel tov, as they say, right? That's a good thing. That's
it's
what
a
we
very
want
good
to
thing.
do.
And
So-
lastly, I want to bring up your 12 and under program. That's also very important for parents to see and to know what you're doing with the 12 and under program.
The 12 and under program is very interesting. And I know we're running out of time, and I really appreciate, Raquel, all of this. You've been so wonderful.
Because I want our viewers to really understand, Catherine, that you have been working. I don't even know when you sleep.
Oh, well, you're very, you too. Look at you. Look at all the good things that you do. And
Thank you.
so I hope you'll have me back.
Yes,
and then
many
we-
more times. But I
would
wanted
love
to end with this particular program, and I want to thank you for seeing the goodness in our children and knowing that the kids that are 12 and under also deserve another chance. And, you know, why should we give them a record when you could intervene immediately and make this kid whole again?
Yes, thank you. And that's the whole goal here, right? We all want to make families whole. We want to give the families the wherewithal to be able to work with our youth. And I don't know if you can give them numbers, but please give them all our hotline numbers, Raquel, so they know who to call, where to go. If anybody has a question, we're so
Definitely.
happy to help. And Raquel, I wish you so much continued success with this
Same
great
here.
program. What you're doing
I
is just-
appreciate you. Is there a last minute message? Again, I want to tell you that you've done a remarkable job. You know, we all agree on that. Thank you for being beyond fabulous. Is there a last minute message that you would like to give all of viewers tonight?
Well, yes, I'd like to take this opportunity, since you asked me, to reach out to those that are watching and listening and ask you please to vote for me and vote for my team when you vote for me on August 18th or even before, because voting has started. And let us continue to do the good work that we've tried to do and have done for this community. Everyone can vote. Everyone should vote. Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Please vote for my punch number is number 23. And I really would appreciate knowing that you support what we're doing, that you believe in what we're doing, and that you will vote and get your families and friends to vote as well. Thank you very much. And God bless you all. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank
And
you,
keep up
Catherine.
the
We
good
love
work,
you.
Raquel. We
Thank
think the
you.
world of you. Keep it up. Thank you.
Best of luck to you. God bless you. And to all of viewers,
God
thank
bless
you so
you.
much for tuning in to On Point with Rachel Turgerman. Please do not forget to subscribe on YouTube at On Point with Rachel Turgerman. And remember to vote, as Catherine Fernandez-Rondon, our Miami-Dade County State Attorney, doing a fantastic job on August 18. As she said, anybody can vote. And remember also to keep us all safe, abide by the CDC guidelines. Although the experts are saying that this virus is not going away, we can make sure that we can do it. We can make it go away. We can pray, and we can watch each other's back. Wear your mask, watch your distance, wash your hands, and we too someday will see this virus get out the door because we don't want it anymore. God bless you all. Stay healthy and safe. Bye-bye for now. No, you're good.